Hey, what's going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC Fight Night, Atlantic City, Erin Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction. If you're wondering why this video is coming out a little bit late, I've been sick with the flu over the past couple days, so now I'm going to just bear through it, bite down on my mouthpiece, only have one dude on my mind, and just bear through it and get through this prediction video. So starting off with the very first fight of the night, Angel Pacheco versus Loughran. Pacheco coming off that war on Dana White's Contender Series against Danny Silva, where he lost but still got a contract. Loughran lost to Taylor Lapilus in his UFC debut. This is a matchup where I don't, honestly, I think either guy could win, but I feel like it's a fairly easy pick. I'm going Loughran in this fight. I just think, you look at Pacheco. He showed that he has really good cardio. He can throw a lot of volume. He can take a big shot. But I just don't think Loughran is going to go out there and brawl with him like that. And Loughran will stick to his game plan if he's looking to grapple. And, even took a round off of Lapilus, with, his grappling. I think it was the second round, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember for sure. But Pacheco was getting taken down by Danny Silva. Now, that was in the midst of a war, but still. And Loughran's more technical on the feet, has big power on the feet as well. That was his first loss ever in his MMA career was to Taylor Lapilus, who is a pretty decent prospect in the division. And I just think, you look at these two guys, I just think Pacheco is just, he's suited for brawls against guys who aren't super technical. And I just think Loughran, with mixing in the grappling, mixing in the takedowns, having big power in his hands, I think he gets it done. I think he'll be able to take him down, get some control time. I think he'll land on the feet. I think Pacheco will have some moments, but there's no reason to believe that Loughran has some, is super chinny or anything like that. And I think Lapilus is a far better striker than somebody like Pacheco. So I'm going to go Loughran via decision. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. I think he gets it done with his grappling. I think he has success on the feet. I think he avoids some of the big shots of Pacheco. And I think he wins via decision. Moving up on the card, we have Andre Petroski versus Jacob Malkoun. This is an interesting matchup. Petroski's coming off that loss against Michel Pereira, where he got absolutely destroyed in the first round. Malkoun's coming off that DQ loss to Cody Bumdage. Before that, a win over Nick Maximoff. Before that, a loss to Brendan Allen, which honestly, I thought he won that fight against Brendan Allen, got robbed. That was 2 years ago. This is an interesting matchup at middleweight. Honestly, both of them are decent grapplers. I would give a small edge to maybe Petroski in the grappling, but I don't think it's by much. And honestly, I think Malkoun's a better striker. I'm going to be honest. I think Malkoun's a better striker on the feet. Petroski, we saw him in the Gerald Meerschaert fight. His last fight that he won was a split decision win over Gerald Meerschaert. He's throwing big, wild-winging shots that he's not connecting on, and we see how slow and labored Gerald Meerschaert is. And then he gasses out and almost loses the fight in the third round. So I'm going to go Jacob Malkoun in this fight. I think I see Jacob Malkoun having the better cardio. You look at his most recent losses, again, the Cody Bumdage fight, he was winning, had an illegal elbow to the back of the head, and Bumdage just milked it for everything that he had. Dominated Nick Maximoff. Now, Maximoff did get injured mid-fight, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Brendan Allen loss, he was actually out-grappling Brendan Allen, and then, he would make mistakes, and it just seemed like Brendan Allen had a little bit of a jiu-jitsu advantage, but not enough to submit him. So, what is Petroski going to do? I don't see Petroski going out there and chinning him brutally. I don't see him going out there and be able to easily out-grapple Jacob Malkoun, and I think Jacob Malkoun has an edge in the striking, honestly. So maybe that's crazy to say, but I'm down on Petroski striking, especially at the Gerald Meerschaert performance, and then gets absolutely buzzsaw through by Michel Pereira. I know Michel Pereira's in a different category than either one of these guys, but I see Jacob Malkoun getting it done. I'm going to say it's a decision win. I'm going to say there's some scrappy, scrambles in the grappling, and the striking's kind of even, but I think Jacob Malkoun has better cardio, has a little bit better striking, and I think his grappling will be good enough to get it done against Andre Petroski. So I'm going to say Jacob Malkoun. I'm going to say 29-28 decision win for Jacob Malkoun. Moving up on the card, we have Melissa Gatto versus Victoria Dudakova. I struggled with this pick quite a bit. Luckily, I did all my predictions research on Sunday. And I started feeling weird on Sunday, but then, Monday I woke up and I was absolutely obliterated. But I struggled with this pick. Melissa Gatto's lost her last two fights. Lost to Ariane Lipski via split decision. Before that, lost to Tracy Cortez, but had some moments in that fight where she was able to take Tracy Cortez down, but then she would get reversed. And she has decent stand-up. Where Victoria Dudakova, was having competitive fights with Jinyu Frey. And one against Estela Nunes, basically an injury on a takedown where she dislocated her elbow. And then before that, Dana White's Contender Series. I don't think Victoria Dudakova is that good. I don't think she's that good. She has okay striking. But like even against Jinyu Frey, she was taken down and held down a little bit in that fight. I'm going to go Melissa Gatto. I'm going to say Melissa Gatto gets it done via decision. I don't necessarily trust this pick. I do think Victoria Dudakova is a little bit better on the feet. And Gatto she's too comfortable off her back looking for submissions. But I'm just, I don't like to elevate fighters off of losses. But close fights with Ariane Lipski and Tracy Cortez, I'll take all day against a competitive win against Jinyu Frey, I think is actually how you pronounce it. So I'm going to go Melissa Gatto. I think she gets it done. I think she has good enough striking. She's not going to get outclassed on the feet. I think she has superior grappling, to be quite honest. I think she'll be able to get her down, control her. I could see even Gatto finding a submission. And I know Dudakova, 8-0, undefeated, Russian. It's like, easy pick right there. But I think Gatto actually gets it done. And then also you have the fact that Gatto's coming on a 2-fight losing streak. But they're both young. I think Gatto has fought much better competition. I think Dudakova loses to Lipski, loses to Tracy Cortez. And the fact that Gatto's scrambling well and getting some decent positions against Tracy Cortez, who has good offensive wrestling and grappling herself, I think she'll be able to mix it in and get it done against Victoria Dudakova. So I'm going Melissa Gatto. I'm going to say 29-28 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Ibo Aslan versus Anton Turkalj, the Pleasure Man. It's actually a rematch. This is a rematch from many, many years ago. Brave FC, I think it was in 2020. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have it on the screen right now. But they fought in 2020 in Brave FC. And it just seemed like Ibo was just absolutely, not ragdolling him, but just out-muscling him everywhere. Just kind of throwing wild winging shots and, winning in the grappling. And then basically he gassed out and ends up getting finished, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I don't have it right on the screen right now. No, he ends up getting rear naked choked. But he was winning before that. He kind of gassed out. And looking at him now, Aslan coming off Dana White's Contender Series where he got a brutal KO win. And you have the Pleasure Man, lost to Tyson Pedro in his last fight. Lost to Vitor Petrino the fight before that. Lost to Jalton Almeida. Who threw him in there with Jalton Almeida? You're going to hell. Whoever called up Anton Turkalj and said, hey, you want to step in on short notice against Jalton Almeida? You're going straight to hell. I'm going to go Ibo Aslan. I think he's improved since 2020. I think Turkalj's on the decline. I think his confidence is in the toilet. 3-fight losing streak. How can I pick him? And then when you go back and watch the first fight, which I did, he's getting out-muscled early. He's getting outstruck. He's getting out-grappled. It was competitive, but Aslan was clearly winning up until he gassed out and then eventually got submitted. So I'm going to go Ibo Aslan. I'm going to say he gets it done first round KO. If Tyson Pedro's getting it done first round KO, and Tyson Pedro's now retired, I believe. He probably doesn't stick to it, but that's just MMA retirements nowadays. I think Aslan gets it done. I think he's going to land a bit cracking with a big shot on the feet, have a impressive UFC debut. The power, he has a significant power advantage. I think Turkalj might be a little bit more technical on the feet, but I have to go Ibo Aslan. I just think, the improvement over the last few years in the confidence level of Anton Turkalj coming off 3 losses, I have to go Aslan to get it done. I'm going to pick him via first round KO. Clips him early, finishes him, has an impressive UFC debut. Moving up on the card, we have Connor Matthews versus Dennis Buzukja. Matthews, 2 times Dana White Contender Series contestant, won his last one, finally got a contract. Before that, he lost to Francis Marshall on Dana White's Contender Series. In between there, he got a win against Andrew Cruz. You have Buzukja coming off a loss to Jamall Emmers where he got finished brutally in the first round. Before that, had a competitive fight against Sean Woodson, and I believe that was on short notice. He got called in on short notice. Had a competitive fight, but clearly lost there. And honestly, this is one of those fights that could go either way. This is one of those matchups that's very difficult to choose because you have Connor Matthews. He's well-rounded, but he is hittable. He's a decent grappler. He's just kind of one of those guys who doesn't particularly shine anywhere, but he's pretty good everywhere. And then you have Dennis Buzukja. He's kind of wild and crazy. He has okay grappling. But we've seen him out-grappled by Sean Woodson, but it was crazy seeing Sean Woodson out-grapple him because I thought Sean Woodson would outstrike him. So that kind of is, a little bit to look at there. At least he had decent striking in Sean Woodson, but you're getting out-grappled by Sean Woodson. So I think I think Connor Matthews, I think he'll be able to mix in the grappling and get it done. I don't like the loss to Francis Marshall, but that was a while ago now, almost 2 years ago. I think he's improved a little bit since then. Dennis Buzukja coming in on a 2-fight losing streak, getting brutally chinned. Not that long ago either. 3 months ago, he got chinned by Jamall Emmers, who also happens to be on this card. So I'm going to say Connor Matthews gets it done. I'm going to pick Connor Matthews via decision. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it'll be a competitive fight, but I think Connor Matthews' grappling will be what edges this out. I think he has an advantage in the grappling. I think Buzukja has an edge in the standing. But I also think Buzukja's kind of wild and crazy. He might go out there and find a KO shot and get a finish. But I'm going to go Connor Matthews, 29-28 decision. I think it's going to be a close competitive fight. Moving up on the card, we have Julio Arce versus Herbert Burns. The returning Herbert Burns hasn't fought in 1 year, 8 months since that loss against Bill Algeo, where he almost found a submission early and then basically got exhausted. And I think he was injured or something as well. You had Gilbert Burns carrying him out the cage. Before that, a loss against Daniel Pineda. Before that, a win over Evan Dunham. But literally, to get to a win, we're almost 4 years ago for Herbert Burns. So inactivity, injury, and then he's 36 years old. You have Julio Arce coming off a loss against Maltel Jackson. Had an okay showing there. Before that, a win over Daniel Santos, which has aged quite well. Daniel Santos looks like a decent prospect. I don't want to overhype it. Before that, lost to Song Yadong. No shame in losing to Song Yadong, even though he got KO'd. And in all his fights, he's had decent striking. Had a competitive split decision fight against Hakeem Dawoodil. Honestly, Herbert Burns, I can't pick a dude who's 36, who's sitting out for 2 years for injuries and whatnot, and he's just a jiu-jitsu specialist, kind of. Has decent striking. He brutally chinned Nate Landwehr, who's also on this card. But I'm going to go Julio Arce. I think he's the superior striker. I think he has good takedown defense. He's shown it in basically all his fights that, when guys have tried to take him down, he's really tough to get down and control, explosive off the bottom. And I just don't think Herbert Burns is going to have to basically find a submission very, very early to get it done. So I'm going to go Julio Arce to get it done. I think he's going to chin him. I think he's going to be wary of the takedowns early and then find a KO shot later. So I'm going to go Julio Arce. I'm going to say second round KO. I think he gets it done over Herbert Burns, 36 years old, coming in on, a long layoff. We know about ring rust. It doesn't always apply to everyone, but still, I think Julio Arce gets it done. I think he's the much better striker. I think he has decent enough takedown defense. I think Herbert Burns could win only if he gets it to the ground early because I don't trust his gas tank, especially after a long layoff. He didn't have a good gas tank before the long layoff, so I doubt he has a good gas tank now. So I'm going Julio Arce, second round, TKO. Moving up on the card, we have Virna Jandiroba versus Lupita Godinez. Virna Jandiroba actually shocked me in her last fight. Beat Marina Rodriguez. Should have saw that coming. Before that, a win over Angela Hill. Before that, a loss to Amanda Ribas. You have Lupita Godinez on a 4-fight winning streak. Beat Tabitha Ritchie in her last fight. Split decision. I thought she won that fight. Before that, submitted Elise Reed. Before that, Emily Ducote. Before that, Cynthia Calvillo. Before that, lost to Angela Hill. But that was almost 2 years ago, and she's been pretty active since then. This really comes down to Virna Jandiroba is really good with her offensive grappling and her top control, but her striking isn't that good, and Lupita Godinez has really, really good grappling herself, is strong in the clinch, and I just think Lupita Godinez has much better striking, so I think the grappling's going to cancel each other out. I see Jandiroba trying to get takedowns, trying to get some control time, maybe squeaking out around with some fence control time, pushing her up against the fence, winning in the clinch a little bit, but I think Lupita Godinez is just way better on the feet. And, I just can't see if this fight stays on the feet. I cannot see Jandiroba winning this fight. She's slow and labored on the feet. And, I don't see her outstriking Lupita Godinez. I mean, Lupita Godinez looks like her striking is improving every time she's out. She's improving her striking. She dropped Elise Reed, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was in the first round. She dropped her with her hands. So, or it might have been a kick. I can't remember. But either way, and then she's fighting Tabitha Ritchie. Tabitha Ritchie has good grappling, looking for takedowns. Wasn't able to find it now. I don't think Tabitha Ritchie is as good with her grappling and strength overall as, Virna Jandiroba. But I think this fight stays on the feet. I think Lupita Godinez stuffs the takedowns. I could see maybe Jandiroba stealing around with some clinch control. But I'm going to go Lupita Godinez. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Nate Landwehr versus Jamall Emmers. This is a tough fight to pick. There's actually a lot of tough fights to pick on this card. Nate Landwehr coming off a loss against Dan Ige, but he actually impressed me in that fight. Took a lot of damage, had a decently competitive fight, landed some good shots himself. Before that, destroyed the Family Dollar version of himself in Austin Lingo. Before that, won against David Onama in a crazy fight where Onama gassed. And then you have Jamall Emmers coming off that KO over Dennis Buzukja. Lost to Jack Jenkins in a fight that I thought he won. It was a split decision. I thought he should have won that fight. And then his last loss before that, it's against Pat Sabatini, where he got out-grappled. I think Jamall Emmers is heavily underrated for the featherweight division, to be quite honest. He's long, he's rangy, he has good straight shots, has decent power, has good grappling as well. And, his competition, the guys that he's lost to Sabatini, he's also lost a split decision to Giga Chikadze. Where Nate Landwehr is just kind of this gritty guy who marches forward, throws these big shots. I feel like the majority of people are probably going to be picking Nate Landwehr in this fight, but I'm going Jamall Emmers. Jamall Emmers is durable. He's got clean striking, has good straight punches as well. I don't know why I'm saying got. I'm sick. Bear with me here. I think Jamall Emmers gets it done. I don't see him putting Nate Landwehr away. It's going to take something serious to put Nate Landwehr away. Like Herbert Burns put him out. I think it was a flying knee. Put him out with that. But Nate Landwehr just shows that he'll bite down the mouthpiece, walk forward, eat shots to land shots. But I just don't think that's going to work against Jamall Emmers. And I'm curious. I think in Atlantic City, it's going to be the large cage. It's not going to be the Apex cage. It all depends on the arena. Even if they're outside the Apex, sometimes they do use a smaller cage. But if it's the larger cage, then that's even more of an advantage for Jamall Emmers. Good lateral movement, good grappling, good striking, good straight punches, good technique overall, good fundamentals, and underrated as hell, to be quite honest. So Nate Landwehr might think he's walking in here to get an easy win. If he didn't do his research, didn't do his homework. I'm going to go Jamall Emmers to get it done. I'm going to say he wins a decision. I'm going to say like a 29-28 decision, but I could see him just winning a 30-27 decision where he just outstrikes him for the majority of the fight and mixes in the takedowns a little bit. But honestly, I don't think he's going to need the takedowns to beat Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr actually has some decent takedown defense. It's very rare we see him just taken down and dominated. He had a decent performance in a loss against Dan Ige, but I don't think he beats Jamall Emmers. I think he loses to Jamall Emmers. So I'm going Emmers. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. Moving up on the card, this is the first fight on the main card. We have Chidi Njokuani versus Rhys McKee. This is a tough fight to pick, to be honest. I was leaning Njokuani, but then I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my goodness. He's moving down to welterweight now, it seems. At least that's what it's showing here on Tapology. So as long as Tapology's right, he's moving down to welterweight, coming off of a KO loss against Mikhail Olashechek. Before that, lost to Albert Duraev via split decision. Before that, got KO'd by Gregory Rodriguez. I don't like 35, 3-fight losing streak, moving down a weight class. Rhys McKee lost to Angelosa in his last fight. Just got outstruck in that fight. Was returning to the UFC after 3 wins in Cage Warriors, where he became champion again in Cage Warriors. Got smashed by Khamzat Chimaev many years ago. I'm thinking about switching my pick. You know what? I'm going to go Rhys McKee to get it done. I'm going to say Rhys McKee KO. I'm switching it right now. Because, and if you're watching this, comment down below to make sure I actually switch my picks in Tapology, because sometimes it doesn't save. But I have all my picks locked in on Tapology, and then I'll change them if need be. And Chidi Njokuani, 3-fight losing streak, KO loss, 35 years old, moving down a weight class. That's a recipe for disaster. I think they're both decent strikers. I think they're both hittable. I think Chidi Njokuani does gas, has a little bit of a chin issue as well. McKee's a decent striker. He can be out-grappled, but I think Njokuani is going to be drained from the weight cut. His striking isn't world class. Like, oh my God. He does have decent power, but is that power going to follow him down to welterweight? I don't know. He's good in the clinch, has some good standing elbows, but I'm going to say Rhys McKee gets it done. I'm going to say Rhys McKee chins him. I'm going to say second round KO, Rhys McKee. I originally had Njokuani first round KO, but now that I'm thinking about the weight class change and 35 years old and coming off KO losses and the gas tank, I think the gas tank's going to be worse down a weight class for him. I think the chin's going to be worse down a weight class for him. I'm going to go Rhys McKee to get it done, second round KO. Please remind me in the comments to make sure I check that I changed that if you're watching this video. Moving up on the card, we have Bill Algeo versus Kyle Nelson. This is a good fight. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Bill Algeo is like a much better version of Billy Q, in my opinion. Coming off a win over Alexander Hernandez. Before that, a win over TJ Brown. Last loss was the Andre Fili via split decision. Kyle Nelson's coming off that win over Fernando Padilla, which has aged quite well after Padilla's win recently, last week, and then a win over Blake Bilder. Honestly, Kyle Nelson's just kind of like your stock kickboxer, to be honest. Like, he just has some decent kickboxing, has some decent takedown defense. Bill Algeo's good everywhere, kind of a little bit of a funky style, likes the pressure, likes to throw a lot of volume, is hard to hit. I'm going to go Bill Algeo in this fight. I think looking at his skill set overall, it's not like either one of them are particularly young, but Bill Algeo is 2 years older, 34 years older, 32. But I think Bill Algeo just moves much younger. Kyle Nelson's kind of stuck in the mud a bit. Bill Algeo, I think, is much faster, has a much more variety of attacks, mixing in his kicks with his punches, and where Kyle Nelson doesn't really do anything flashy. He's just kind of like this technical kickboxer. And okay, he beat Fernando Padilla in his last fight. Okay, fair enough. But like even the Blake Builder fight, Blake Builder hasn't even looked that good since then, and he's stuffing the takedowns of Blake Builder. I think the volume of Bill Algeo is what's going to win in this fight. Looking at him against a guy like Alexander Hernandez, Hernandez has good power, good striking, good grappling as well, and he gasses out. Kyle Nelson doesn't like gas out, but he slows down significantly as the fight goes on, and I don't see Bill Algeo gassing out. So actually, I see Algeo getting it done via finish. I'm going to go Bill Algeo late second round TKO. I see him getting it done against Kyle Nelson. I think Kyle Nelson is going to slow down as the fight goes on, and he's going to be losing. He's going to be getting busted up. I think I could even see him trying to mix in the takedowns because he realizes he's losing on the feet. And I see Bill Algeo catching him with a good shot and putting him down. I could even see Bill Algeo hurting him and then find a submission. Bill Algeo has really good BJJ as well. So I'm going to go Bill Algeo to get it done late second round KO over Kyle Nelson. I could see maybe Kyle Nelson squeaking out a decision, but I don't think that's highly likely. Bill Algeo is really funky to figure out on the feet. So I see Kyle Nelson having trouble with that early. And I think as Kyle Nelson continues with the fight, he's going to be like, okay, I'm not having success here. Let me mix in the clinch. Let me try to mix in this takedowns. I think Algeo is going to be superior there. And I think Kyle Nelson is going to slow down first. So I'm going to go Bill Algeo second round TKO. Moving up on the card, we have Nursultan Ruziboev versus Cedriques Dumas. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm a big fan of Nursultan Ruziboev. Can't wait to see him celebrate with his coach again. This is an easy pick. I'm going Nursultan Ruziboev. First round KO. Cedriques Dumas, Abu Azaitar win. Okay. Before that, a win over Cody Bumdage. Cody Bumdage sucks. Before that, a loss to Josh Frem. Josh Frem isn't particularly good. Nursultan Ruziboev came in on short notice and brutally chinned Bruno Ferreira. And on top of that, Ruziboev has 31 finishes out of his 33 wins. He's 33-8. Bit of a padded record, not the best level of competition. But 31 finishes, that's crazy. Good grappling, good striking, long and rangy. We don't have a reach for him, but he's 6'5" compared to Dumas' 6'2". I don't think Dumas is that good. And he slows down and, primarily a striker, has some okay wrestling. But Cody Bumdage just quit in that fight. He's not out grappling Ruziboev. I don't think he's out striking Ruziboev. So I see Ruziboev mixing in everything, if the fight goes long, but I really see Ruziboev just putting a masterclass on him early on and finding a finishing shot in the first round. Dumas is one of those guys that kind of got overhyped coming out of Dana White's Contender Series. Oh, he's got an interesting hairstyle. Oh, he's got tattoos. Oh, he's got an interesting name. Let's hype him up because he's from Dana White's Contender Series. Nursultan Ruziboev is going to come in and absolutely shut down any hype. Not that it really still exists after a loss to Josh Frem. I could see Nursultan finding the submission. I could see him finding a KO, but I'm going to pick him to win via first round KO. I think he's the superior striker. I think if he needs to, he can mix in the grappling, control him, take him down, beat him up, find a submission. Even in the Cody Bumdage fight where Bumdage literally quit on the mat, Dumas was just hanging out in guard, not really advancing the position. I don't think he's going to be able to do that against a guy like Nursultan Ruziboev. So I see Nursultan Ruziboev getting it done whichever way he wants, but I see him getting it done in the first round via KO. Him and his coach are going to celebrate, and it's going to be glorious to watch. So Ruziboev getting it done first round KO. Moving up on the card, this is the featured fight on the card. Bruno Silva versus Chris Weidman. That's still my boy. I don't know, man. This is sad to see. Chris Weidman. Oh my, he's lost 4 out of his last 5 and probably been worse than that. You look further down his record right now. I don't have it in front of me. And so is Bruno Silva, though. Chris Weidman lost to Brad Tavares in his last fight, coming back from that hellacious leg break against Uriah Hall after he took, almost 3 years off or something like that, or 2.5 years off, something like that. Came back, Brad Tavares beat the piss out of him, leg kicked him to death, which was petty as hell, by the way. His last win was against Omari Akhmedov, where he looked absolutely like dog shit. Look, I'm going to be honest, and I think I covered this before the leg break, but I don't remember because I just started my channel. I thought Chris Weidman was washed up before the leg break. I mean, he was getting KO'd by, just off the top of my head, Gegard Mousasi, Yoel Romero, Jacare Souza. Dominic Reyes, he was getting chinned by everyone, and then he breaks his leg, and now he's coming back. And supposedly this might be his retirement fight. It seems like he might retire here. And now they're booking him against Bruno Silva, which if this was even a half of what prime Weidman was, this would be an easy win for Weidman because Bruno Silva doesn't have the best grappling, but he has heavy hands, man. Bruno Silva has heavy hands. His last fight was against Sharabulat Magomedov, where he got outstruck there. Fight before that, got submitted by Brendan Allen. His last win was against Brad Tavares, the guy that just beat the brakes off of Chris Weidman. That was only a year ago. Chinned Brad Tavares. Lost to Jaromir Shard. Lost to Alex Pereira in a competitive fight. He's having, competitive striking match with Alex Pereira, who's the light heavyweight champion. And that was only 2 years ago. And you got Chris Weidman losing every single one of his recent fights. I mean, seriously, in the last 6-7 years, Weidman has one win. Weidman's strength is his grappling and his submission game. People kind of forget that because he was a big middleweight at one point in time and had decent power in his hands. If he can get a hold of Bruno Silva and ragdoll him to the ground, I think Weidman could submit him. I don't see that happening. I think Weidman's done, guys. As heartbreaking as it is, I think Weidman's done. So I'm going to go Bruno Silva first round KO. I feel bad for Weidman. At one point, I hated Weidman for the way he celebrated after Anderson Silva broke his leg, but he's more than paid his dues. And it just sucks seeing a guy like this. They should have kind of gave him a layup matchup. I don't think Bruno Silva is anywhere close to a layup matchup. And I think it is one of those fights that he could win. But I think Bruno Silva is going to chin him badly. Even Weidman has a 4-inch reach advantage, 2-inch height advantage. But he's 39 years old. His chin is diminished. His leg is diminished. He's scared to throw leg kicks. He's worried about that leg breaking again, that paranoia in his head. His confidence has to be in the toilet. He realizes he's close to the end of his career. And to go from undefeated, I think at one point he was 13-0. Now he's 15-7. Imagine that kind of confidence-shattering career trajectory. To go from 13-0 to then winning 2 and losing 7. That's crazy. And the wins are spread far apart too. So, and even the Omari Akhmedov fight 4 years ago, he looked like dog shit in. So I'm going to go Bruno Silva to absolutely chin Chris Weidman in the first round. It's going to be sad to watch. And then he's going to retire in the cage afterwards. And he's going to, hopefully his dad's there to say, that's still my boy. So RIP, the All-American Chris Weidman. Moving up on the card, we have Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. I hate this fight. I absolutely despise this fight because I'm so tired of seeing that Joaquin Buckley spinning KO win. It's so annoying. It's literally so annoying. It's the most annoying KO win against Impa Kasangane. I'm so tired of seeing it. But Buckley coming in off a win over Alex Morono. Before that, a win over Andre Fialho, which hasn't aged quite well. Lost to Chris Curtis, where he got brutally chinned. Lost to Nasruddin Imavov, where he got outstruck. Came back a little bit in the third round. You have Vicente Luque coming off a win over RDA. Before that, a brutal KO loss to Jeff Neal, where he had suffered a brain bleed. Before that, a loss to Bilal Muhammad, where he got out-grappled. Before that, a win over Michael Chiesa. Before that, a win over Tyron Woodley, both by submission, dark strokes. Honestly, when I look at this matchup, the prime Vicente Luque easily gets this done. This might be one of those times where, okay, we see the end of Vicente Luque, but I don't know if it's just yet. He's only 32 years old. He had to come back against RDA and kind of get his confidence back. RDA is kind of a lightweight, more of a lightweight than a welterweight. Even though I know he's fought at welterweight multiple times, but it's like Luque used a lot of his grappling in that fight to win that fight. Buckley's got good takedown defense. Buckley's coming down from middleweight. Buckley's got good power. I think Vicente Luque has the more technical striking, but is he scared to engage? Is he scared to get hit, man? That brain bleed's got to be weighing on his mind. So this is a very tough, this is a co-main event, by the way. I don't even know if I said that. This is a very tough fight to pick. I'm going to go Luque to get it done. I think he's the more technical striker. I think Buckley has more power. I think Luque has the better grappling overall, but I don't think he's going to be able to get Buckley down. I think definitely Luque has the better jiu-jitsu. And also, Buckley's, he got chinned not that long ago against Chris Curtis. I think Vicente Luque, if he lets his hands go, I think he could find a finish. He rocked Tyron Woodley before he subbed him. So I think Luque maybe just putting a little bit more distance between him and that Jeff Neal loss where he had the brain bleed. Maybe he comes in this fight with a little bit more confidence. And I think if this is 100%, if this is the Vicente Luque before the Jeff Neal loss, he easily beats Joaquin Buckley. But I do question his motivation. I do question, his ability to take a shot now and his confidence after that injury. But I'm going to pick him to get it done. I'm going to say he beats Joaquin Buckley via decision. Buckley's decently durable. He has been KO'd again by Chris Curtis, but Luque's not known for like crazy one-punch KO power. But if Luque gets it done via finish, I'm going to pick him to like rock Buckley on the feet and then find like a Darce choke or a guillotine or something along those lines. But I'm just going to pick Luque to outstrike him for 3 rounds, mix in the clinch work a little bit, get some control time up against the fence. We've seen him, I think it was in the Albert Duraev fight, I think early in that fight, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, where he got out-grappled a little bit. But you look at Buckley, his recent losses, Nasty Namavov, Chris Curtis, cleaner, more technical strikers. Vicente Luque is a cleaner, more technical striker, has crisp boxing, has good kicks as well. So I'm going to pick Vicente Luque to get it done via decision. Moving up on the card to the main event, I almost said co-main event, but it's the main event. Erin Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. This is actually a good main event, to be honest. I know people are going to cry about it because it's women's MMA. This is actually a good main event. This is the number 1 contender fight in the flyweight division. I could see either one of these women winning this fight, to be honest. And this is a very tough fight to pick because Manon Fiorot has never fought anyone to the level of Erin Blanchfield. Now, Erin Blanchfield has fought some decent competition in Talia Santos and Jessica Andrade, but I don't feel like either one of those is like a 1-to-1 comparison to Manon Fiorot. And that's why I've been back and forth on this fight, because I could see Manon Fiorot kind of stuffing the takedowns and outstriking her. This is no doubt grappler versus striker matchup. Erin Blanchfield, superior grappler, superior BJJ, superior takedowns, but Manon Fiorot clearly better striking. And her last fight against Rose Namajunas outstruck Rose Namajunas, who has decent striking, but now after we've seen her against Amanda Ribas, it looks like she's on the decline a bit. Before that, against Caitlin Chukagian or Sermonara, where she outstruck her there. Before that, a win over Jennifer Maia, where she was able to stuff the takedowns. And Manon Fiorot is very, very strong. I mean, she's strong in the clinch. She's muscling people in the clinch, but she does end up in the clinch. And Blanchfield will nonstop look for takedowns. And that's what I think this fight comes down to is Fiorot doesn't have the power to put her out. I don't think Fiorot has that power. And I think that Blanchfield will eventually be able to find a takedown. You see Fiorot, Rose Namajunas, there was multiple times she got decent entries into a takedown. She wasn't able to get them, but Rose is much smaller and nowhere near as strong as somebody like Erin Blanchfield. And then even in the fight against, I think it was Jennifer Maia found a clinch a couple times. I think Fiorot might have even took Jennifer Maia down, matter of fact. But either way, if they get into those clinch exchanges, Erin Blanchfield's very strong in those clinch exchanges. And I could see early Manon Fiorot winning. Like first, second round, I see Manon Fiorot like outstriking her, moving well around the cage, just outpointing her. And as the fight goes on, Manon Fiorot starts to get tired. Erin Blanchfield starts to really wear on her and start to find some takedowns. Fiorot scrambles back up, but now she's a little bit more tired. And I think Blanchfield is going to have the better cardio. And it's going to be one of those grueling, grappling, performances from Erin Blanchfield. I do kind of question it a little bit after that razor close win over Talia Santos, where she struggled to get her down. But this is a 5-round fight. And Manon Fiorot's never really fought a heavy grappler like Erin Blanchfield. So I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield to get this done. I'm going to say 3rd round submission. I'm going to say, again, Fiorot wins like the first 2 rounds without striking her. I'm going to say Blanchfield's going to clinch up with her, get close to some takedowns, maybe even get one, but Fiorot scrambles right back up. And the commentators are, she's building her confidence now in her takedown defense. But as the fight goes on, I think Fiorot's gas tank is going to fail her a little bit compared to Blanchfield. Nonstop pressure, takedown after takedown attempt, forcing Fiorot to try to get back up against the fence. And, maybe she gets her down to one knee and then Fiorot works her way back up and disengages. But Blanchfield's going to keep making her work. I say by the end of the 3rd round, Blanchfield gets her down. Fiorot has already started to fade a bit, accepts the position on the ground, and then Blanchfield starts to work, ends up getting her back as Fiorot tries to get up. I'm going to go Erin Blanchfield late 3rd round rear naked choke. I could also see Blanchfield getting it done via decision. If I was picking Fiorot, I'd pick her via decision all the way. I thought about picking her, but I just think that the nonstop grappling of Blanchfield is going to wear Fiorot down, and I just can't see Fiorot putting on a masterclass striking clinic for 5 rounds. So I see Erin Blanchfield getting a takedown eventually on a tired Manon Fiorot and eventually working to a rear naked choke in the 3rd round and getting it done and earning a title shot against the winner of Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 3, which we don't have a date for yet because they're the Ultimate Fighter coaches, and it's probably not going to happen until September. So I look forward to seeing the winner of this fight the winner of that fight maybe next year, I guess it would be next year. But this is a decent main event, or this is actually a really good fight night main event in my opinion, even though people are going to crap on it a bit. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.